What up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of AC Reviews the World. I am your host, AC the Engineer, and we are at episode 170. Yes, 170. Hopefully, everybody had a good day today. It is Wednesday, April 15th, 2026, year of our Lord, and it's time to get into it. Welcome back to the greatest afternoon show in the world. You ain't got to believe it. I believe it. That's all that matters, y'all. But little housekeeping before we start. You know how I like to do it. Remember, the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and then hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos, y'all. And then lastly, this is a show where we meet Monday through Friday, go over 4 different topics, 4 or 5, just depending on how I'm feeling. And we just talk about how we're feeling about it. If you ever disagree with anything I say, please leave a comment. This is a channel where we want to discuss this type of stuff. There's so many people out there who get mad at other people's opinions. I want to hear what you're talking about. I listen to your points. You listen to my points. And if we can't agree, that's fine. But as long as we try to talk about it, that's what's wrong with the world today, y'all. But you know how I like to do it. Let's jump right into it. The first topic we got to get over to is we got a kidnapping that happened in Hamtramck. I don't even know where this is. But we got a kidnapping that was stopped by, it looks like, both a gas casing clerk and a classmate. So we'll get over into that and see what we can find out. And of course, we'll go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about it. But let's jump over into it and see what we can find out. Let's see what we got, y'all.
And commute is light.
Well, courageous clerk and his split-second decision turned a terrifying kidnapping yesterday into a high-stakes rescue.
Police say a 16-year-old girl was ambushed by an armed man and then forced into a car near Edwin and Brombach in Hamtramck yesterday morning.
And it ended with an arrest caught on body cam video at a Detroit gas station. And the suspect is now in custody. That suspect could face arraignment as early as today. And thankfully, the student who was abducted is home safe this morning.
Now, the clerk who stepped in to help that teen to safety is now speaking out about the terrifying moments only to 7 News Detroit.
7 News Detroit reporter Brittany Tulis is live on Detroit's east side at the Sunoco gas station where that rescue took place, sharing the clerk's firsthand account of what happened. And Brittany, in this exclusive interview, what is the clerk saying about the moment he realized he had to act?
See, this is what we need people to be like. At the end of the day, there's some people who would have seen something and just let it go by. I'm saying it's not my business. But he stepped up and helped a girl or stopped attempted kidnapping. Let's keep going into this, though.
Yeah, Alicia, and it really was just seconds. He said when the two walked into the gas station here, he knew something was off. It felt wrong, but he didn't know what. Then that teenage girl bravely but quietly let him know she was in trouble, mouthing the words help. That's when the clerk says, without thinking, he put himself in between the girl and the man who allegedly abducted her at gunpoint.
And she talked to me like with no sound, help.
The girl's silent call for help confirming what Abdul Rahman Abu Hatem felt in his bones Monday morning while working a shift at the Sunoco on Nevada and Continent Streets. He says the man asked for cigarettes and made the 16-year-old girl pay.
I thought something wrong. I have to do something. And I go out, I kick him out. I ask the girl to go behind me.
Abu Hatem walking the man out as Hamtramck police raced to the gas station.
Come here, man. Off this way.
Abu Hatem had no idea Hamtramck police had been desperately tracking the 16-year-old girl's phone location for 30 minutes after the girl's classmates watched the suspect allegedly abduct the teen at gunpoint about 2 miles away near Edwin and Brombach just after 7 a.m. while she waited for her school bus.
I see the police outside. I point to him. That's the guy.
This is a random incident. That person, a suspect, could have driven anywhere.
The suspect now in custody. Officials say he has a criminal history. The girl is thankfully back at home with family, physically unharmed, but still processing what happened. The horrific ordeal coming to an end thanks to police, her classmates, and Abu Hatem sensing something was off and acting on it.
16 years old, she is a child.
It's a criminal who had a history of rape charges, and we will make sure that that he gets what he deserves.
It's scary to them. It's scary to every parent who has children.
That's probably the worst fear that any man or just in general a person would have, is their kid getting kidnapped. I can't imagine what would be going through my mind. Let's keep going into this though.
And Hamtramck's police chief says you can expect to see officers patrolling around schools near school bus stops, and there's talk of doubling the amount of surveillance cameras throughout the city to prevent this from ever happening again. Now, when it comes to that suspect, the police chief said he did have a weapon on him when police arrested him. That suspect could be arraigned as soon as today. And Alicia and Allie, that's when we can learn more about him and his criminal history. For now, live on Detroit's East Side, I'm Brittany Tulis for 7 News Detroit This Morning.
This is literally every parent's worst nightmare, but thank goodness for the students that knew to track the phone, and also the gas station clerk, along with police, everybody working together to bring that girl home safely. Thank you, Brittany, for that live.
Absolutely crazy situation, y'all. Let's go over into this next video and just see if we can learn anything else.
Let's get live to Fox News' Ingrid Kelly, now in Hamtramck. This is really an amazing story, Ingrid.
It really is on so many different levels. You know, police say that alleged incident took place just after 7 o'clock this morning, but it's thanks to the quick action of those other students and also police that led to the suspect now in custody. Tense moments in Hamtramck Monday morning as a 16-year-old student is allegedly kidnapped as they waited for the bus.
Did not know the suspect at all. Happened to be walking in the area.
Police quickly responded to frantic 911 calls as the student's classmates watched the alleged abduction at gunpoint.
I'm very proud of our students because the way I even get some phone calls from the students on the bus telling me, hurry up, there's something happening. They're very responsible. They didn't interact with the person for their own safety, but they run asking for help.
The principal of Frontier International Academy says students also did their part to help locate the student.
Students did their best. They searched their social media to locate the girls. They tried to reach out to her.
The investigation would soon lead Hamtramck police to a gas station where the suspect is seen with the victim on security camera.
You will see the victim and suspects walking out of the vehicle right now.
Police move in and take the suspect into custody, and the suspect wants to know why.
You're being detained right now, are you? I'll tell you in a second.
The city's mayor says changes will take place to keep citizens safe.
We're going to make sure that we have enough police officers, and then we're also going to make sure that we have cameras, enough cameras. We currently have, I think, about 15, 16 cameras. We're increasing that number.
Back out here live, you know, the school's principal made it clear to the school community and also to me that this is an isolated incident, and he is telling the parents here at this school there's no reason to fear. Back to you, Jessica.
And Ingrid, just reading between the lines there, it does maybe appear that there was some rapport between the victim and suspect. I know that random kidnappings aren't as common.
You know, there, as police said, you know, this student did not know this person at all. Also, the school's principal made it very clear that, you know, this student is a great student, very responsible, and is never in trouble.
Now, it just goes to show you that training your kids right works, because they knew what to do. They knew who to call. They didn't get too close, and just in case they got hurt themselves. And they was able to save their classmate. They called whoever they could, the principal, the police. And then you had a great store clerk who actually saw the situation, understood what was happening, and put himself in danger. I'm assuming he didn't have a gun, but he put himself in danger to protect the 16-year-old girl. The world is a crazy place, but we need people who are willing to step up and stand up for the people who are too weak and can't help themselves. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just so we can get a little bit more information about this whole case. Tragic situation, but we are happy that the little girl was found. 16-year-old. I don't know if you can call her a little girl, but let's get over into the AI breakdown, y'all. So, as we know, on Monday morning, April 13th, a 16-year-old girl was rescued within 30 minutes of being abducted at gunpoint. It happened just after 7 a.m. The teen was walking toward a school bus stop near Edwin and Bromcatch, when the suspect snatched her at gunpoint and forced her into a tan-colored car. Several girl classmates witnessed the incident. They immediately used their cell phone data and social media to track her location and share the information with the police. The suspect drove the victim to the Sunco gas station at the corner of the Corinth and Nevada nearby Detroit. Inside the store, the girl mouthed, "Help me," to the clerk. Sensing something was wrong, he intervened. So authorities stated that the suspect had a history of prior rape charges, and he remains in custody with charges pending for the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office. The 16-year-old girl was found safe and is currently home with her family. They're talking about increasing patrols at bus stops and also security cameras. The world is dangerous. We know that. We know what happens in the world. We've seen a lot of these videos. Luckily, this girl was able to be found because we know in some cases that the children who are abducted aren't. Absolutely tragic, and he needs to get the maximum penalty. He does not need to be anyone who has, they said he has prior rape charges. Anyone who in general has rape charges or shouldn't be out on the street in the first place. But could have been prevented if he wasn't on the street. But at the end of the day, he needs to be in jail. And he does not need to be allowed out anymore. He has lost his privileges to be with the general public. At least that's my opinion. But let me know your thoughts on that situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it. Jesus. We're going to pivot now into our next topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over we got a principal who has tackled a school shooter. See, that's how I like to see it. We got a principal who tackled a school shooter. We get over into it. We got a few videos to look at, but this happens at the Pauls Valley High School in Oklahoma, where the principal tackled the school shooter. That's what I need in my principals. But let's get over into it and see what we can find out about this whole case. We got a few videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information on this whole case. But let's jump over into it.
Taking you now to this, you're watching dramatic new video coming out of Oklahoma this morning. Here you see a high school principal bursting into action, tackling this would-be gunman and disarming him right in the hallway. Spencer Humphrey from our News Nation station in Oklahoma City with the story.
There's no audio, but the footage speaks for itself. Pauls Valley High School Principal Kirk Moore heroically tackling a gunman attempting to shoot students inside the school's lobby. Security camera timestamps show it all happened right at 2:19 p.m. last Tuesday. The suspected shooter, a former student, 20-year-old Victor Hawkins. You see Hawkins enter the school waving a gun, then pacing around slowly behind a vending machine. Two students sit on benches feet away. It's a little hard to tell because there's no audio, but Hawkins' arrest affidavit says during this time he actually tried to fire a shot at a student, but his gun jammed, and that's when he went behind that vending machine. Seconds later, he steps out and fires a shot. A female student notices and immediately runs the other way. At the same time, Hawkins aims directly at one of the students on those benches. The student lifts his hands in the air. Court documents say he asked Hawkins not to shoot him. Then comes Principal Moore to the rescue, barreling at full speed out of his office, tackling Hawkins onto the bench, giving that student a chance to run to safety. If you look closely, Hawkins actually points his gun point blank at Moore's head when he exits his office. It's unclear exactly when, but court documents say he managed to shoot Moore in his leg. Seconds later, the assistant principal runs out as well, taking Hawkins' gun and putting it inside the office, while an injured Moore continues laying on top of Hawkins until police get there.
I have to start with a massive thank you for that administrator.
Mo Kennedy is the executive director of the National Association of School Resource Officers. He says there's no two ways about it.
For him to take that action, seeing that, the danger to his students, to his staff, others in the building, that is heroic.
That is an educator, if I say so myself. That is someone who his job is to protect the children. And without any hesitation, he immediately tackled him, getting shot trying to do it. Absolutely. See, I'm trying to understand a former student. So it's not even a case where he was bullied in school. This is just a man who already graduated or didn't finish, however you want to call it. We don't know exactly his background, but he came there trying to cause damage and kill whoever he saw. And we got the hero principal who jumps up, takes a bullet, and tackles him to the ground. That's what
Equivocally, Moore and that assistant principal are nothing short of heroes.
There's no question that is above and beyond. And again, I don't even know him, but I'm really proud of him.
With all that said, the video also reveals something concerning. Take a look at the first moment Hawkins walks in the building. See that? It's someone's arm pushing the door open for him. We reached out to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation, who confirmed to us Hawkins was able to get in the building because that person opened that locked door. OSBI telling us they do not suspect the person was working in coordination with Hawkins, instead merely doing what they thought was a favor to someone needing to get inside.
And that's human nature. But looking at something like this, you have to realize that when you choose to open the door and let someone in, that can create this type of situation.
Now, I feel like there's protocols in the school system to where if the doors are locked, they have to go through a certain exit or a certain entrance that usually has a resource officer or someone there who was seeing who was allowed to come into the school at the time. At least that's my thinking. Tell me if I'm wrong, y'all, but let's keep going.
He says there's multiple layers to school security, from physical barriers like locks and doors, or security systems like cameras and alarms. But equally as important, having a culture and climate of safety.
We can do everything in the world to secure that physical environment, but if there is not a culture and climate that says it's not okay to open doors for people, then that's going to continue to happen.
I mean, just extraordinary intervention. That was Spencer Humphrey reporting there. We can tell you this morning, Principal Kirk Moore is out of the hospital. He is recovering, so we're wishing him well. And as a mother myself, I think I speak for every parent in hoping and praying that our children's school faculty and staff would intervene in that way as well.
Thank you for watching.
I mean, anyone who has a parent would want them to react. He definitely went above and beyond, but we want someone who, if your job is to protect the students, protect the students. I'm happy that he was able to survive the encounter, but he risked his life to protect the people he cares about. That's the students of the school he works for or he's in charge of. Let's get over into this next video just to get a little bit more information.
Heart-stopping video shows a heroic Oklahoma high school principal tackling a Columbine-obsessed ex-student moments after allegedly being shot. 60-year-old Kirk Moore charged at 20-year-old Victor Lee Hawkins, who was armed with 2 loaded semi-automatic pistols, in the lobby of Pauls Valley High School last Tuesday afternoon, a moment that was caught on surveillance footage. Moore, who was the only person injured as Hawkins opened fire inside the school, was hailed for his bravery and preventing a tragedy of a much larger scale. Hawkins allegedly told investigators he didn't like Principal Moore and went to school to kill him. He ordered everyone to get onto the ground before trying to fire at one student in the lobby, court documents reportedly revealed. The crazed gunman's weapon malfunctioned before he aimed his pistol at another student, who begged him not to open fire. Moore, who has worked in the school district for more than 35 years, rushed to the school lobby to investigate the commotion. Hawkins was seen pointing his weapon at Moore's head and firing a shot, which struck the educator's right leg before he was tackled. The principal shoved the gunman toward a bench before getting on top of him, while the terrified student fled. Moore pinned down Hawkins' right hand, stopping him from firing his pistol before the weapon dropped onto the floor. Another adult male wearing a red shirt and beige pants sprinted into the shot before helping Moore and kicking the gun away. Hunter McKee of the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation praised Moore and staffers for their quick-thinking response, saying, "The actions of the staff and the principal stepping in as soon as they saw a subject with a firearm saved lives today." Brett Knight, the Pauls Valley superintendent, described Moore as a hero, the Oklahoman reported. Hawkins admitted to stealing the guns from his dad and told investigators he wanted to conduct his own school shooting, like the Columbine shooters did, referring to the 1999 massacre that left 14 victims dead. Hawkins has been charged with shooting with intent to kill and other firearm-related charges and will appear in court on May 8th. Meanwhile, Moore said he's healthy and recovering after being hospitalized.
See, he tried to, y'all see where he said he was aiming for the principal, but he didn't just target the principal. He came in there, was willing to shoot anybody he saw, and then I guess he was going to make his way to the principal eventually and kill him. But that is what I'm talking about. We need people like that in the school who are willing to step up and protect the children. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information on this whole thing. It's an absolutely tragic situation, y'all. Let's jump over into it. So, as we know, on April 7, 2026, Kirk Moore, the principal of the Pauls Valley High School in Oklahoma, tackled the armed former student in the school's lobby. The suspect, Victor Lee, 20-year-old, a former student who graduated in 2025. So he's just a 2025. Huh? Entered the school around 2:20, armed with 2 semi-automatic. Honestly, I'm trying to understand. He's 20, so he graduated when he was. Oh well, that ain't too bad. So he failed a semester. He failed a year. Okay, that 20 and graduating threw me off a little bit. So we had Hawkins reportedly entered with the intent to kill students and staffers based on the Columbiana-inspired attack. He initially targeted a student, but his weapon malfunctioned. After clearing the jam, he fired at another student but missed. Or he was about to fire at another student. As the student pled for mercy, Principal Moore rushed from his office and tackled him onto a bench. He was shot in the lower right leg during the struggle. He was airlifted to the hospital and has since been released and recovering in a stable condition. So he was arrested at the scene and faces multiple felony charges, including shooting with the intent to kill, unlawful carry of a firearm, pointing a firearm. He is currently being held at the Gavin County Detention Center on $1 million bond. I'm surprised they don't have a charge. At least I'm not aware of all the charges, but a charge for just shooting inside of a school. I mean, a school shooter charge. They should have a school shooter charge. I mean, but let's keep going though. And then we know the community response, local law enforcement and officials praise him for his bravery. Absolutely craziness. Now, tell me your thoughts about this whole situation, y'all. A former student comes back aiming at the staffers and the students. And we got the principal who risked his life to save them. Now, some people, like they said, that's above and beyond their duties. Would it be differently if he didn't? I mean, how would you feel if, I don't know how to say this. Because technically that's, as someone who's been in high school and someone who's going to have a family eventually, knowing that a principal did all this makes me very happy. But that is technically, I don't know if that's their training to do that. I think they're trained to lock it down. I don't know for sure, but let me know your thoughts. I would like to know how they are trained to handle situations like that. Are they supposed to tackle the person? Are they supposed to leave? I would think you need to tackle them. But the first question is, at least allow the teachers to have some pistols or something. But hey, that's a whole different story. And I guess the liability of that whole thing would just be crazy. But like I said, let me know your thoughts on this situation, y'all. Let me know how you feel about it. Crazy world. We're going to pivot now into, we got more school shootings, but we're going over to Turkey, where in Turkey they had 2 back-to-back school shootings that killed 20 plus people. We're going to get over into it. We got a couple videos to look at, and then of course we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about it. but back-to-back school shootings. Let's jump over into it and see what we can find out about this whole situation, y'all. Let's get it right. So it looks like this is the
At least 16 people are injured after an assailant opened fire at a high school in southeastern Turkey. Video footage shows dozens of students running out of the school and onto the street.
Let's back it up a tad bit.
At least 16 people are injured after an assailant opened fire at a high school in southeastern Turkey. Video footage shows dozens of students running out of the school and onto the street. Officials say the 18-year-old gunman, who was a former student of the school, was armed with a shotgun and fired randomly before killing himself. The motive for the attack remains unclear.
Sabah saatlerinde Siverek ilçemizde bulunan Ahmet Koyuncu Mesleki ve Teknik Anadolu Lisemizde saat 9:30 sularında.
Let's back that up a tad bit. So this morning at 9:30, a person born in 2007
Ahmet Koyuncu Mesleki ve Teknik Anadolu Lisemizde saat 9:30
entered a high school in the district.
30 sularında bir 2007 doğumlu bir kişinin pompalı av tüfeğiyle okula girmek suretiyle burada rastgele ateş açması neticesinde maalesef 16
4 teachers, 10 students, 1 police officer and 1 canteen worker.
Kişi, bunlardan 4'ü öğretmenlerimiz, 10 öğrencimiz, bir polis memurumuz ve bir kantin işletmecisi yaralanmış durumda. Şükürler olsun can kaybı yok. 4 yaralımızın, 2 öğretmenimiz, 2 öğrencimizin sağlık durumunu biraz daha orta seviyede değerlendirdiği için hekimlerimiz il merkezindeki hastanelerimize sevk etmiş bulunuyoruz. Şahıs kendisi okul içerisinde polisimizin de müdahalesiyle sıkıştırıldı ve orada kendi canına kıymak suretiyle, ateş etmek suretiyle
Okay, so he took his own life.
Hayatını kaybetti, eks olarak ele geçirildi. Okulu tahliye ettik.
17-18 yaşlarında bir çocuktu. Birden şu dış kapıdan içeriye girdi. Nasıl girir girmez direkt silahı çekti. Uzun namluluydu. Hani şu şarjlı pompalar olur ya ondan. Direkt sağa sola başta ateş atmaya başladı. Sonra okula doğru ateş açtı. Sonra direkt koştuğu gibi içeriye girdi. İçeriden direktmen önüne gelene sıktığı gibi zaten ondan sonra öğrencilerin bağırmaları, öğretmenlerin bağırmalarıyla herkesin bir yere kaçışması bir oldu. Ondan sonrasını göremedim. Çünkü çocuk içeriye girdi. Girdikten sonra zaten polis olsun, diğerleri olsun herkes geldi.
Absolutely crazy, y'all. But if you didn't read what the subtitles were saying, basically he entered the school. He immediately tried to fire. He pulled out his weapon, immediately tried to fire the pump action shotgun. They said 16 people were injured in total. I thought killed, but hey, 16 people were injured in total. No fatalities have been reported from this incident. But he immediately started targeting anyone he could see. And he ended up losing his life by gunfire. So let's get over into this next one.
Breaking news in Turkey, where police say an 8th grade student shot and killed 9 people today. This marks the country's 2nd school attack in just 2 days. Officials there say the student came to school with 5 weapons in his bag, walked into a class of 5th graders, and opened fire. At least 20 other people were injured in this attack. Turkish media says the shooter's father has since been detained. Today's shooting comes just 1 day after 16 people were wounded in a separate incident at a high school about 3 hours away. Security footage shows students running from the 18-year-old gunman in that shooting. These have been extremely rare in Turkey until this week. The country has strict gun laws which require licensing, registration, and mental and criminal background checks to get a gun. NBC News international correspondent Ralph Sanchez is following all of this from our London bureau today. So, Ralph, what more can you tell us about the victims in both of these attacks? And do authorities think at all that they are connected?
So, Vicky, authorities in Turkey just held a press conference on today's attack, raising the death toll to 9. They are saying 1 teacher, 8 students killed at that middle school in southern Turkey. And the shooter, Vicky, they say, is just 14 years old.
It's crazy, even with their strict gun laws that they have in Turkey. Things like this still happen. Is it as common as the United States? No, it's not. Of course not. But it happens all around the world. And we got to ask what's the reason why? A lot of the times it's bullying. Bullying, and then someone ends up getting a gun from their parents like they always do, and then coming to the school to shoot up whoever they can. Is the world we live in, is it our rules, our society? What is happening that's making kids want to do something like this? Or has it always been this way? Let's keep going, though.
His father, a former policeman, had a number of guns in the house, and it seems that the shooter took 5 of those guns, 7 magazines, went to school, and as you said, walked into that classroom of 5th graders, opening fire there. The shooter is dead. Police say he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Not clear if he was deliberately killing himself or if this was something that happened in the chaos. But this is now officially, Vicky, Turkey's worst ever school shooting. And as you say, it comes just 24 hours after another shooting, also in southern Turkey, about 130 miles away. In that case, a high school student going into his former school and opening fire there with a pump-action shotgun. So a lot of terrified parents in schools all across Turkey today, Vicky.
Is this some kind of coincidence? 2 school shootings back to back. One a former student, one a current student. High school, middle school. What is happening?
Raf, it is so difficult to imagine what those families are going through. We do understand that school shootings are extremely rare in Turkey because of the strict regulation. How are authorities investigating this uptick in violence? What do they think it could be possibly related to or triggered by?
Yeah, Vicky, the tragic reality is school shootings are pretty rare in most of the world except the United States. Turkey, one of those countries where this just almost never happens. The country absolutely stunned. At this moment, there does not appear, as far as we can tell, to be any clear connection between the 2 shootings, but you can't rule out the possibility that one potentially inspired the other. Investigation underway into the backgrounds right now of both of the shooters, and we will try to find out more.
That's a crazy thing to think about, that a school shooting that happened inspired the other one to be like, yeah, it's my time to do the same thing. A middle schooler. They said his father was a former police officer. And he was able to take 5 guns and magazines to the school and kill 9 people. The deadliest school shooting in Turkey. Let's go over to this next video, and it's just the aftermath of all this. But you can see the chaotic look on some of the people's faces. This is something no one was expecting. Parents fighting. They want to see they want to find their children. Absolutely tragic. 9 students lost their lives, y'all. Let's get over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information on this whole case. 2 school shootings back to back. So, as we know, in a rare and tragic wave of violence, Turkey experienced 2 separate school shootings within a 28-hour period on April 14th and April 15th of 2026. So we got the middle school. The deadliest of 2 incidents occurred at the middle school, secondary school And I'm not even going to try to say the names because I'm going to butcher it. So we had 9 people who were killed, 8 students and 1 teacher. 13 others were injured, with 6 in critical condition. The suspect, or the killer, a 14-year-old 8th grader identified as, I'm not even going to try to say his name, he was reportedly used 5 handguns belonging to his father, a former police officer, which he smuggled into school in his backpack. The attacker died at the scene. It remains unclear if he intentionally killed himself or died amidst the chaos. They're currently investigating it to figure out any of his ideology, but the suspect's social media activity included imageries associated with incel ideology. Jesus. And if you don't know what incel is, look it up, but it's basically, they are, if I might be butchering with the meaning, but it's basically, they're upset because they're not attracted to, or the women are not attracted to them. They can't get a woman. They can't find women. Involuntary incels, that's what they like to say. And then we had the high school shooting, the first attack that took place the previous day. So we had at least 16 people were wounded, including the students and teachers. There was no reported fatalities. And then the shooter was a former student of the school. The shooter killed himself after being cornered by the police. So the Turkish ministry imposed a temporary ban on broadcasting traumatic images to protect the integrity of the investigation. Major educators union, including, announced a nationwide 3-day strike starting April 15th to protest the inadequate school securities. Now remember, y'all, this is very rare. So school shootings are rare. Maybe someone should be there to protect against knife attacks, but this is not something that usually happens. It's only common. I wouldn't even like to say common, but it only usually happens in the United States. That's why they look at us like we crazy. So officials have pledged to increase their precautions with political proposals, including development of thousands of specialized sergeants as school security personnel. Absolutely tragic situation, y'all. 2 back to back. One might have inspired the other. But it can happen anywhere in the world. The question is, who are you going to hold responsible? You had 2 of them dead. Are you going to hold? Remember, they arrested the father in one of the cases. Are they going to hold him responsible for letting his kid get a hold of the gun? I think in both cases. Absolutely tragic situation, y'all. We got to pray for the people, pray for the family. 9 people have died. Could have been much, much more. Absolutely tragic. We're going to pivot now into our 4th topic we're going to be discussing today. And we got to go over into a crazy scene where we got police killing a 3-year-old kidnapper. No, not, I said 3-year-old. We got police killing a woman who is attempting to kidnap a 3-year-old out of the Omaha Walmart. Everything happens in Walmart. Let's get over into it. We got a few videos to look at. And then, of course, we'll go over to the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information on this whole tragic scene. Kidnapping at Walmart. Watch your kids at the end of the day. Watch your kids. Let's get into it.
We also got a kid that got a laceration to his arm.
An officer, Walmart, 1606 South 72nd.
I need 2 squads, one for the victim to be shot and the kid that got cut.
A terrifying scene at this Walmart in central Omaha. One woman is dead, a young boy hurt in what police describe as an attempted kidnapping.
911 received a call. It was a nature unknown open line. A female caller asked for the police. Another voice can be heard in the background saying, "Stop, keep walking."
When officers arrived, they found a 3-year-old in a shopping cart, a caregiver, and the suspect, a woman with a knife. Minutes later, the call to help an officer. And you are watching 3 News Now at 6. I'm Mary Nelson. Developing news from central Omaha, where police shot and killed 31-year-old Noemi Guzman at that Walmart. They say she tried to kidnap a little boy there, and we have police photos from a responding officer's body camera. But I want to warn you, the image that you're about to see is beyond disturbing. This is that critical moment as Guzman, allegedly cut the boy. And officers made a split decision. One, Chief Todd Schmaderer says, saved the boy's life. Our 3 News Now team coverage includes Jeremy Fredericks and Max Williams, but we begin with Katrina Markle.
That deadly confrontation happened right here, just steps outside this central Omaha Walmart. Terrifying new photos released late Tuesday afternoon from OPD body-worn cameras of 31-year-old Noemi Guzman. OPD Deputy Police Chief Scott Gray says Guzman kidnapped and slashed a 3-year-old boy with a large kitchen knife, and it appears to be a random attack.
At least one officer fired their weapon, and the suspect is deceased.
Police believe shortly after entering the store, Guzman stole a large kitchen knife, forced the child's caregiver to walk in front of the shopping cart as she pushed the cart with the 3-year-old boy inside, eventually forcing them into the parking lot.
The suspect produced a large knife inside the store and took possession of the child, essentially kidnapping the child.
Police were still interviewing witnesses this afternoon, but Gray says it doesn't appear that staff or other shoppers knew what was happening. At 9:20 a.m., 2 police officers arrived and called for help.
They encountered a female outside the Walmart at this location. She was holding a knife to a 3-year-old child that was in a shopping cart.
And that is when the child was slashed on his face and hands, and police immediately shot and killed Guzman. The 3-year-old.
At the end of the day, she needed to be shot. I don't see a problem with that. You're holding and swinging a knife at a child? Yeah, shoot her and get it over with.
Was taken to Children's Hospital where he went into surgery. We're told his caregiver was with him in the hospital. Investigators, including Nebraska State Patrol and the Sarpy County Sheriff's Office, are still reviewing security footage along with body-worn cameras. They can't say yet how many shots were fired or if both officers fired their weapons. I'm Katrina Markle in Central Omaha.
Absolutely tragic. Let's get over into this next video, see if it tells us some more details.
We are getting some new details about an attempted kidnapping at an Omaha Walmart that left one woman dead and a child injured. Police released these photos from the incident. They say a woman carrying a large kitchen knife approached a 3-year-old boy and his guardian in the store yesterday, forcing them to walk into the parking lot at knife point. Responding officers say they ordered the suspect to drop the knife. She refused and then slashed the boy across the face. That is when officers shot the suspect and killed her. That boy was taken to the hospital. Thankfully, he is expected to survive. NBC News correspondent Emily Aketa has been following the story and joins me now. So, Emily, tell us more about the latest in this investigation. Do police think this was a random attack?
Yeah, they do, and just a terrifying one at that. You think about the timing of when this all played out. It was around 9 a.m. yesterday at a Walmart, so a lot of people are shopping at that time, and they say that the woman, you see her there on the screen, shoplifted that large knife from Walmart and then used that knife to force the caretaker and the 3-year-old boy who you see in the shopping cart to leave the store, and an argument basically ensued there, and police who then arrived say that she was making threats, refused to drop the knife, even cut the boy. He's recovering from lacerations to his face and his hand, and then that's when 2 officers fired shots. She died at the scene, but witnesses describing just the absolute chaos, how upset the caretaker of the boy was, and also the boy himself. Just a matter of minutes, but absolutely terrifying.
Absolutely terrifying.
I can imagine. At the end of the day, I've said this several times, be able to protect yourselves. Now, I'm not sure Omaha, I got to look at what their gun laws is, but I have mine on me. I'm allowed to, and I train to keep it on me. But you never know when a situation like this will pop up. Let's keep going into it.
What do we know about this woman? Does she have a criminal history? Has she been at this Walmart before? I know it's early.
So police identified her as 31-year-old Noemi Guzman, and they released, you see there, that's a booking photo, a mugshot from an arrest back in 2024 when our affiliate in Omaha reports that she was arrested for setting her father's house on fire and then breaking into a church with a large knife in hand. Ultimately, she was found not guilty by reason of insanity. Court documents showed she suffered from schizophrenia. But
see, this is what I'm talking about. I've said this several times. Yes, I'm fine with someone who's truly insane getting in a sanity defense, but it cannot be like a not guilty. They got to be like insane, but you cannot leave a facility. You got to be locked up in a facility for the rest of your life. I mean, that's how I feel. But let's keep going.
Still, we're learning more details as this is a developing situation.
We are wishing that little boy a speedy recovery. How traumatic. Emily Aketa, thank you so much.
The child is going to need a lot of therapy. The mother is going to need therapy, or the caregiver, whoever they call her. This is a crazy scene that no parent would expect to happen. Oh, absolutely wild. Let's go over into the AI breakdown just to get a little bit more information about this whole case. So as we know, on Tuesday, April 14th, the Omaha police fatally shot 31-year-old Noemi Guzman after she kidnapped a 3-year-old boy at knife point and began slashing at him at the Walmart near 72nd and Pine Street. She reportedly shoplifted a large kitchen knife inside the store and forced a caretaker and a 3-year-old boy, Kyler Hillman, towards the parking lot. Arriving officers confronted her as she was exiting the store. Despite multiple commands to drop the weapon, she began swiping at and cutting the child. 2 officers fired their patrol weapons, killing Guzman at the scene. The child suffered significant lacerations to his face and hand, but is expected to survive following surgery. So according to reports, she was well known to law enforcement and had a history of violent mental health crises. So in 2024, she was arrested for dousing her father in flammable liquid, cutting him with a knife, as well as breaking into a church rectory while armed. She had previously been found not guilty by the reason of insanity for those charges and diagnosed with schizophrenia. Omaha police confirmed they had unspecified interactions with Guzman just hours before the Walmart incident. So are they saying that it could have been prevented? So the company issued a statement condemning the violence and confirming they are working closely with the investigators. Both officers involved have been placed on critical incident leave, which is a standard department policy. Yes. Absolutely crazy. See if they tell us anything more about the suspect's history. So she has been marked by a long-term struggle with her severe mental illness and series of increasingly violent incidents that led to multiple interactions with the justice system. We know in 2024 what happened with the church standoff. Following the case, she was placed under court-ordered supervision, where she was diagnosed with schizophrenia. In June of 2025, a judge ruled that she's remained a danger to herself or others, and ordered her to follow a strict mental health treatment plan as an outpatient. You're a danger to yourself and others, but you can do your treatments outpatient. I will never understand. So until the Walmart attack on April 14th, there was no documented interactions with the court records that she was failing to follow her treatment plan or medication schedule. So what does that tell us? Either she was all good or she was hiding it good. But remember, y'all, the judge said back in June, you remain a danger to yourself and others, but you can do your treatments outpatient. You don't have to be locked up in here. Absolutely crazy. The morning of the shooting, hours before the incident, Omaha police had already had an interaction with her. So at 6:30 a.m., officers responded to a domestic violence call at the home involving Guzman. They transported her to the CHI Health Bergen Mercy for a mental health evaluation. Because she was there voluntarily, the officers believed that they had no legal grounds to force her to stay. and she was allowed to leave the hospital. She traveled directly from the hospital to Walmart and ended up grabbing that boy. At the end of the day, it sounds like it could have been prevented. But let me know your thoughts on the situation. Let me know how you feel about it. How do you feel about someone getting the insanity defense and then they still think that they're a danger to the public, but they allow them to have outpatient treatments, meaning that they are responsible for it? The world is a crazy place, y'all. The world is a crazy place. But let me know your thoughts on that situation and let me know if you disagree with anything I said. But that is it for the show today, y'all. A little bit earlier than we usually do, but talked about a lot of crazy things. Let me know if you disagree with anything I said, or if you just think I'm talking a bunch of stupid stuff. Hey, just let's talk about it. Let's have a discussion. Now, remember, the best way to show your support is always just to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you can be up to date on all the videos. Now, remember, we will be here tomorrow at 6 o'clock, ready to go over 4 more or 5 more topics. Why? Because we got to meet every single day because the world is a crazy place and we have to review it together, y'all. But that's it for now, y'all. Y'all already know I got to play that outro. I will see y'all tomorrow. Peace.